We are recording at this time, and I asked everybody if they'd please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome. I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting for the Oceana County Board of Commissioners for March 9th and ask that the clerk do a roll call, please.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Morse?
Here.
Mr. Beggs?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Walsh?
Here. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for the February 9th meeting, please?
I'll make that motion, Hardy.
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Hardy, second by Mr. Beggs. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Conflict of interest disclosures regarding agenda items. Do any board members have a conflict of interest in any of the agenda items? Hearing none, are there any changes to the agenda? Mr. Morris?
Yeah, if we could add motion 2023-41, actually, yeah, 41, to about the creation of an ad hoc broadband work group, and add motion 2023-42 about writing a letter of support for the ISPs applying for the Robin Grant.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Were you gonna refer to the single point of contact?
Yes, it's going to be part of the
Okay.
Yep, big deal, or the big language.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Mr. Erickson?
May I please be added for a Crystal Dam update?
Do you want to do that during commissioners' reports, or do you want to do it? You want to do it before that?
An agenda item.
Agenda item right after Mr. Morris, after number 42. We'll take a Crystal Dam update then.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Any other changes in the agenda? Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Erickson. Do we have a support?
I'll support Hardy.
Moved by Mr. Erickson, support by Mr. Hardy. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Approved. Public comment. Do we have any public comment at this time? We'll have an opportunity at the end also. Hearing none, Mr. Hardy, Mason Oceana 911 surcharge number 36.
Motion 2023-36 to approve the recommendation of the Mason Oceana 911 Board to continue the assessment of local telephone surcharge in the amount of $2.09 with no change.
Any discussion or questions on the motion as written? Roll call vote, please.
I'll support that.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Beggs.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr.
Mr.
Walker?
Walker.
That's okay. I just did the same thing. So, Mr. Erickson, reduction in permit fees, number 2023-14.
This motion is to allow for reduction in building, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical permit fees by 45% and a 50% reduction in drain commission fees for the Shelby Acres Housing Development Project.
I'll second that motion.
Moved and supported. Discussion.
I still think that we should take no action on this until we've built a policy that governs these decisions. A little late to take no action on it, but
Mr. Beggs, I'm in concurrence there, you know, at maybe just a little bit premature. What's the feelings of the other board members? Mr. Hardy?
I'd like to have some rules with it, but again, we've kind of delayed this almost a month now too, so.
Mr. Morris?
Yeah, I'm gonna support it.
Mr. Erickson?
In our previous session, someone had asked for identification of the individuals that created this nonprofit 501c3, and I'm at liberty to name them, and it's Earl and Linda Peterson, so this isn't a secret.
We have two things that we are dealing with here. We are talking about the fees from the inspection department, and we are talking about the drain commissioner fees. I know the drain commissioner has told me that she is not in favor of us doing this to the drain commissioner's office. We have not heard from the drain commissioner specific reasons why that is. Does anybody remember that being addressed specifically?
I sat down and talked with her too, and I mean, I didn't get that impression that she was, you know, it's not that she was for it, but I didn't, you know, it wasn't like something that I got the impression that she was stuck on, honestly. And plus, I'll just say, you know, her role is drain commission. Her eyes are on that, and rightfully so. And so she's going to look at it from those lens. So is, you know, the building inspectors. So are our budget office. You know, we need to, you know, they have their roles and they have their lens. We as a board have our lens of looking at the bigger picture too, of economic development that will help with taxes down the, you know, tax base down the road. We also have to consider precedents as well. Of course we do. That's why we need to have a policy that follows. So I mean, I honor the concerns of individuals and departments, but you know, it's our you know, we have to look at the big picture. We all know that, and so that's why I support. That's the biggest reason I support it.
No, one of the things is, I guess, if this motion didn't pass, then do you need the regulations or the parameters for future requests?
Mr. Beggs, addressing your concern, if we pass this motion today, or act on this motion today, and if this motion passes, would it be reasonable to say within 45 days we will implement rules and regulations on the administration of this?
I would say that is reasonable. That still wouldn't be enough. I'm in favor of this project. I will say that for the record. But I am not in favor of approving one-off reduction in fees without a clear written policy in place. So yes, that's reasonable. If the rest of the board passes that, I won't be disgruntled, but I can't vote in favor of this without a clear written policy of how we're going to address it in the future.
Understand.
That's just my personal feeling, and it won't hurt my feelings if I'm the only one that says that. So.
Okay. Are there any other comments from the board members before I call for the vote? Roll call vote.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
No.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
No. Thank you, commissioners. Mr. Morris, remonumentation number 2023-28.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the monumentation surveyor agreements with Noah Penn and Alex Altmeyer as required under the remonumentation plan through October 1, 2023, or when funding is exhausted, whichever occurs first, and allow the board chair to sign.
Do we have a support?
Support.
Hardy, moved by Mr. Morris. Thanks. Support by Mr. Hardy. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Morse? Oh, no.
Yes. Oh.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Erickson, number 2023-37, intergovernmental agreement.
This motion, 2023-37, in adopting resolution number 23-05, entering into an intergovernmental agreement with Greenwood Township in Oceana County to manage the floodplain development for the National Flood Insurance Program.
I'll second that. Morse?
Moved by Mr. Erickson, supported by Mr. Morris. Any discussion or comments? That needs to be a roll call vote.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Mr. Beggs, designation of financial institutions for deposit of investments, number 2023-38.
I'd like to make motion 2023-35 designating the following financial institutions for the deposits and investments for Oceana County funds to be utilized at the discretion of the Oceana County Treasurer during fiscal year 2023. Shelby State Bank, Fifth Third Bank, West Shore Bank, Huntington Bank, Flagstar Bank, Lake Osceola Bank, Multi-Bank Securities, Michigan Class Investments, CDARS, Government Authorized Investment Group, CIBC, formerly known as Private Bank.
Do we have a support?
Support.
Moved by Mr. Beggs, supported by Mr. Erickson. Clarification. We have two different numbers on this. Which one is it?
38, please.
Mr. Beggs? It should be 38. It just has 38 on the first page.
I will amend my motion to be motion 2023-38.
The support, Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Beggs and Mr. Erickson. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, so Lake Osceola Bank, why do we put our money in?
Walkerville.
Oh, okay.
They have a branch in
Branch in
Walkerville.
Okay, alright. Okay.
And you know, you're not the first or the second one to ask that question.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
They filled the void when State Savings Bank of Scottville pulled up and moved out. So when the Scottville boys went to Ludington, it left a void. That branch was too far for them to service well. None of the Hart banks wanted to move out there, but at that given point in time, the president of Lake Osceola served as the president of the Walkerville School Board also. So they've made great inroads. Lake Osceola as an investment out in Colfax, Leavitt.
Okay.
They're a strong bank out of Baldwin.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
And we're very fortunate to have a bank in every area of the county. It's a good thing. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Mr. Morris, budget amendment for workforce development grant and remonumentation, number 2023-39.
Commissioner or Chairman Walker, I make a motion to approve budget adjustment 02-2023, increasing the federal grant revenue line and the contract other line within the economic development budget for the workforce development grant, and number 03-2023, correcting the lines for the remonumentation budget to coincide with the contract.
Thank you. Do we have a support?
I'll support Hardy.
Moved by Mr. Morris, supported by Mr. Hardy. Any discussion or questions as presented? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Beggs, appointment for the community mental health.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Mr. Jim Prince and appoint Mr. Robert Walker to the Community Mental Health Board for a 3-year term to expire March 31, 2026.
Thank you. Do we have a support?
I'll support that. Morse?
Any discussion or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Pass. Mr. Hardy, do we want to do the payments of claims now, or do we want to do them afterwards? Let's do them now, Mr.
I can do
Hardy.
them now, yeah, that's fine. So we have basically two motions for payment of claims for 2/23/2023 and for 3/9/2023, as the courthouse was closed for the last one. So I'll go through the 2/23/2023 one. Ambulance fund $2,447.91. Pentwater Heart Trail fund total $2,042.50. Indigent Defense Fund total $36,555.96. Department of Veterans Affairs fund total $5,758.51. Technology and Innovation fund total $27,983.55. Capital Project Equipment Replacement fund total $2,819.34. The foreclosure fund total $6,699.75. Building Department fund total $2,729.19. For a general fund total of $344,118.33, for a grand total of $453,163.53. Moving on to approval for 3/9/2023. Ambulance fund $397.56. FOC fund total $10,970.45. Automation ROD fund total $1,818.02. Indigent Defense Fund $7,389.43. LOCT fund total $164.97. ARPA fund total $20,802.34. Department of Veterans Affairs fund total $3,382.91. Technology and Innovation fund total $1,524. Foreclosure fund total $3,507.87. Building Department fund total $6,222.94. For a general fund total of $304,770.11, or a grand total of $360,950.60.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Do we have a support on the payment of the claims as presented?
Support.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Moved by Mr. Hardy, supported by Mr. Erickson. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Morris, number 2023-41.
All right, let's see if I get this right. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we formalize the creation of an ad hoc broadband work group to lead efforts and research called the Oceana County Broadband Task Force, with Phil Morse as the board liaison, and request OCEA approve that their executive director be the main point of contact.
Do we have a support for that?
I'll support Hardy.
Moved by Mr. Morris, supported by Mr. Hardy. Are there any questions or comments on it as Mr. Morris presented it? Roll call vote.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Mr. Morris, if you would, number 2023-42, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we write a letter of support for Great Lakes Energy, Charter, and Frontier, expressing our support of the Robin Grant, and that we will have a single point of contact in Oceana County appointed by the Oceana County Broadband Task Force. Period. The letter to be written by the Human Resources Administrator today and released today, something like that, and released today, if possible, because the grant deadline is the 14th.
Do we have a support?
I'll support.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Moved by Mr. Morris, second by Mr. Begg. Stacy, do you want to sign that letter, or do you want to electronically have me sign it?
Either is fine.
We'll work, what do you think?
I would think it would need to be you, and the reason is because we already sent a letter from administration in support of this. This would be from the board.
From the board. Thank you,
Makes
Mr.
sense.
Moore. So, and for expediency, sign it electronically or, with my signature.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, any other questions or comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Mr. Morris, thank you.
Yeah, thank you everybody for doing that.
Mr. Erickson, Crystal Valley Dam update, please.
Mr. Walker, I know this has been in front of county boards now for about 40 or 50 years, but I know this board did vote to remove the dam if we didn't find sufficient funds to repair or save the dam, and we were given a
Thank you.
report by Spicer and Company that was a tall number. There was like 950 grand on that or something, and as you all know, I've been speaking with a state engineer, qualified in hydroelectric facilities. I spent a little bit of time on the dam project, and what I have found in speaking with the State Historic Preservation Office is that, and through research at our Oceana County Historical Society, the parcel in question was deeded by President Grant to William Musa. That was part of the Indian reservation, and it has a long history in the valley as being a gathering spot for the Indians. And as you'll see from some of the news articles that I was able to glean out of Mr. Kavanaugh's office, they were a gift to our Historical Society. I went back to 1937 in the Hart Journal, and I went week by week through the Hart Journal to trace the history of that dam and that project. And what I have found is that it is a WPA project that was built 1937. Those were the Depression era years, and this was all part of Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal in the United States. Therefore, it wasn't a welfare program as much as it was a work program. And if people were down on their luck and out of money and couldn't eat, they could pick up a job with the WPA. Many projects in the nation are part of the New Deal.org website if you were to go and look, and they're trying to identify as many of these Depression era projects as they can and to preserve them. Our post office across the street was a WPA project, and also the mural painted inside was a government WPA project from 1937-38. Tremendous history in that dam, and as going through the records, Mr. Heislip is able to give me a little insight with Crystal Township records. It was a gathering of Indians in 1863 at that site. Civil War was going on, and 1,200 Native Americans came to get their government check at that site, and the money didn't come, so they camped for 5 weeks. They had 1,200 people, 5 weeks. Mrs. Gay, the blacksmith's wife, had 5 cooks working. They killed 4 oxen, and they killed 2 cows, and they ate 18 barrels of pork waiting for their government money on that site. So as you'll read in there, that was put together by the people of Crystal and the Oceana County Road Commission. The county board received title to that through the road commission, but when you'll read in there, that was a road commission project also, and there was an immense sense of pride in that community with the building of that park. And it was actually called a resort back then because those people didn't go to Lake Michigan for a swim. They had to ride their pony or ride their buckboard wagon into town, and Crystal Valley had 290 residents in 1937, a gas station, a store. It was a very busy little burg. But in my speaking with the State Historic Preservation Office and a gentleman by the name of Nathan Niedering, when we got into our conversation, he was excited to hear that we found another WPA project in the state of Michigan. And it's worthy of all those designations. It's also worthy of going on the National Register of Historic Places. And in our conversation, I told him I was living in a historically, on the National Historic Preservation list. I'm living in the Gay Cabin there. And he identified it, looked it up immediately, and he sees the history in Crystal Valley, and it's some of the oldest history we've got, and the Native American history as being part of the Indian Land Grant. So I got Jim Tiffany. You all aware that we've had a conversation with Mr. Tiffany. He's an engineer. We're taking care of his dad in California right now, but he's from Manton, Michigan. He's well versed in dams and dam repair and everything of that sort. And Mr. Tiffany is very confident that we can repair that dam for a nominal cost and preserve our history. And then I think we should and will be able to put it on the National Historic Register. And we can identify it with a state marker, and we can pay all the tributes to it that are necessary rather than pulling it out. So I talked to fisheries. I talked to Mark Torello about the passage of fish on that creek. And surprisingly enough, on the Boardman River up in Traverse City, they had 4 dams and they're down to 1. And at this point in time, they're reluctant to remove that last dam because that would have let invasive species go upriver, and that would be coho and chinook and salmon. And those are invasive species in the state of Michigan, along with the lamprey. So there's 2 schools on taking that dam out. One is to leave it in so that we don't have invasive species going upstream. A fish ladder is very easily made, could be fabricated. I've had gentlemen from our area say that, you know, if moving fish up the creek was a big deal, we can do that. And on the NOAA side, if you'll look up dams, the NOAA people also have a very nice example of a stainless steel dam to transfer fish upstream. So regardless of whether you want fish to go over the dam or not, that's another school of thought. But at this given point in time, I feel it's our obligation, as it is a part of our history, and through the successive chain of title, we're obligated to leave that dam. We're obligated to maintain and repair that dam. I know you've told me no, but we've received 5.2 million ARPA dollars have come to our county, of which I feel that has relieved some strain on our general budget for the next few years. I feel it's well within the ability for us to do what's necessary to repair and maintain that dam. We can pump the mud out, we can cool the water down. There's a lot of things that we can do going forward, but we can't do it if we remove the dam. And I don't believe we'll be removing the dam because SHPO is very interested in maintaining these historic landmarks. Would there be any questions?
Is there funds for that? For that group you're talking about, this National Historic Society or Michigan Historic, that they would pay for something like that to maintain it or to keep it?
Why are we always looking for somebody else's money? We just got 5.2 million. I don't know. I'm going to track it down and we're going to do it. But I've also been told if the county board cannot see their way to taking care of that dam, we can just give it back to the Township of Crystal. So just give it back. If we don't want the liability, boys in Crystal take it back. This is not rocket science we're talking about. Those boys out there build ponds every day. They pump more water than you can imagine, and this is just a little puddle. But it means a lot to that village.
I would support giving it back to the townships. I would. I mean, it's, I'll just say I don't wanna take it down, that's not my goal, is to take the dam down. That's not what what I'm looking at is I don't wanna put any more county taxpayer money into that, like Broad, 16 townships, 2 municipalities, into the dam to repair it, year, or decade after decade after decade. That's where I don't want, if they wanna keep their dam, sure, absolutely, but when the funds come, they are important. That's key. And in my conscience, I can't continue to put in hundreds of thousands of dollars every decade. That's just where I'm at.
So if you look in your report, you'll see what Mr. Tiffany has proposed, very nominal fee to put together cost, put together the engineering, supervise the engineering, complete the project. The last page of the folder, you'll see the project Mr. Tiffany did in Mount Pleasant, Michigan on Mill Pond Park for a better fishway. I don't think it's an ongoing large expense when we talk about it. The dam has not had the proper maintenance throughout all these years. I think we can bring it up to snuff very, very easily, and we can build upon that going forward. But you know, counties do have obligations. We have to repair and maintain our roads. We have to repair and maintain our roofs. We're looking at, you know, thousands of dollars for heating and ventilation and cooling. We're replacing our sheriff's cars, our vehicles. We do a lot of things, but we have not dedicated proper dollars to our park system. And the pandemic showed and taught us, and Mr. McKeon I'm sure will agree, we don't have a budget in our park system for all of these things. And the other thing I've got on my plate that I'm going to do too, we're going to save the red barn before somebody takes it down or it burns. There's a lot of things we have in our county that we've got to maintain, and we have to keep our heritage. And if we continually take things down because they need repair and maintenance, I think we're missing the point. We're not building for future generations. We're erasing history. We might as well just start taking our statues down too. That was built as a monument to the people of Crystal Valley, and when I go through the books and I see A.A. Greiner was over there working with a team hauling dirt in a pan, I'm talking about a team of horses or oxen. I'm not talking about a tractor or a backhoe or anything. I'm talking about a community that came together to build actually the first Oceana County Park. And it was maintained and built by our road commission, if you'll read the articles. And the road commission probably saw a hot potato. Maybe they didn't have a budget and they couldn't afford it. I don't know. I haven't researched it, but fortunately I've got the Herald Journals all the way back. So, you know, given some time, we can research those things. But what I have found is it is a Depression era WPA project. I don't think it's leaving.
So this right here, is that?
That is Mr. Tiffany's fee schedule.
For an engineering?
That is, yep, you get the whole package. You don't get a large brick building with 30 people in it. You're getting a guy that puts his boots on and goes and does the job himself. This guy, he performs. And if you look at his credentials on the back, you'll see that this ain't his first rodeo either. But I'd like the board to realize where we're at with this. We've got to do something with it. We said we would. We're supposed to do something with it. I believe maintaining it and making it better for the future is our best option, because if we drain the pond, we're going to have a whole lot of legal expense and problems with the people that own the dirt under the water. It has to revert back to the original title holder. That's a circuit court question. So now we'll have a legal bill. And if we leave the water in the pond, we won't have that legal bill. We won't have that set of circumstances. We also own 10 feet circumferring the entire pond. So that hasn't happened in a long time either. And if you'll read in there, they were going to put a bridge over the dam so we could access the north side, make a beautiful park. And in speaking with John Wilson from our Parks Department, for grant applications, we have ingredients in that park, especially being on a National Historic Register, that those dollars you're wondering where they might come from will come. I can't answer that question right now. I do intend to most likely go up to the state meeting and meet Mr. Niedering and the other people involved in historic preservation of these structures in Michigan. We don't have many around, but I think it's good to preserve our history, especially out on the Indian reservation. And Crystal Township is one of 4 townships, Elbridge, Crystal, Eden, and Custer, that were given to the Ottawa Indians from the Flat River to Chief Gabusa, and they moved up here, gave up their homes and moved up here to that valley. And I believe that in 1935 the remnants of that group of people and the farmers that created the asparagus industry in this world, I think they've kept that dam the way they wanted it, and they've got many family reunions out there. It's been a great place all of these years, and I'd like to see it restored to its former glory.
Mr. Erickson, I want to ask Mr. Beggs or Mr. Hardy if they have anything they want to say at this time. You know, Mr. Beggs? I think that this is an excellent presentation. There are some things that need to be worked out, and I think before the next meeting, that you and I sit down and have a conversation, and I can address some of the concerns, concerns on how we go forward, and we'll come back at the next meeting, and maybe we can find out when Mr. Tiffany is going to be back in Michigan. Do you know now when he's?
I don't know when he'll be coming home.
Well, but if he is going to be around,
he would love to meet with us.
yeah, let's do that. Do the other board members have any concern that we, you know, Mr. Erickson presented the information from us. Mr. Erickson and I can take it and come back at the next meeting with just some follow-up information. There's some questions that I think need to be answered.
There's a lot, and
Yeah,
I just wanted this informational moving forward.
But I say the next meeting because let's keep things moving. You know, let's keep things, you know, on the burn.
Can I add one thing to what I said?
Absolutely, Mr. Moore.
So, as a part of a compromise of the dam becoming the townships again, I could, in good conscience, put in some, personally support putting in some of the ARPA money. I mean, not the whole thing even close, but towards, you know, the study or whatever. Just, that can be part of your conversation, but that's if you want.
That is one of the things that has to be clarified, because ARPA funds can only be used if it's a freshwater source. A dam is a freshwater source for a municipality. We need to clarify that. Is that correct, Stacy?
Yes.
So, but we need to clarify that. We need to find out, but that's the way it's written.
But bottom line, what I'm trying to say is, if it's a part of a compromise
Some money.
of it going, you know, becoming the townships again, you know.
There's a lot of things that have to be worked out.
And I'm not, at this given point in time, a proponent of it leaving the Oceana County
I know
Park
you're not.
system. That's not where I'm going with all this. But we do have that obligation that we do, and also I'm waiting for an attorney's opinion on that ARPA money that I have sought myself. And low hazard dam, high hazard dam, they've got all these strings on it. I'll get that opinion as to where it might go. But my point is, we relieve $5.2 million worth of pressure out of our upcoming next 3 years with ARPA dollars. That certainly says to me we can find a buck or two somewhere in the kitty.
What we have done here, Mr. Erickson, with your work on this, and along with the people from Crystal Valley, is we've moved this a little bit closer to the resolution that we passed in December. You know, coming up with a plan and coming up with financing on how we can save it, and we have until, you know, July.
We've got all the time in the world.
Our deadline is July.
I think we made a mistake, and I think we can reverse that.
No, I think we can have a plan by July.
Yes.
I think if we keep moving forward like you've moved forward on this, you know, I I don't wanna be this at the tenure of this elected board in a year and a half and still not have a decision. We need to move forward.
We need to move forward,
need
and
to
if you
move
look,
forward.
there's one board report in that folder where you'll see Bob Wheeler and Lloyd Van Sickle discuss this thing. Bob Wheeler stood up at my dad's wedding. Lloyd Van Sickle was one of my dad's best friends.
Yeah, it's-
So I'm talking from a little bit of experience in this mess too. I'm not new to the area.
Yeah. So we.
If I
Go
may.
ahead.
Mr. Erickson, yeah, too, if you get that decision back from the attorney, that's fine. Some of the stuff that I've read on it, well, if there's imminent danger in the dam, which would go then to public safety.
There isn't.
No, I'm saying if there is, then you can use ARPA funds for that.
Okay.
But I don't know for a non-threatening dam, but I'd like to know when you get your decision back.
Well, but here's my point. We spent ARPA money on a computer at the airport. We bought a bunch of in-car laptops for the sheriff's department. Those would have all been expenses that would have had to come out of our general budget, but we didn't have to do that. We got them out of the ARPA cookie jar. So that's relieved all this pressure. And with the mental health, that's the other part I want to talk about today, and Bob got a good dose of mental health in Cadillac.
Health Department.
Yeah, boy, we did. This mental health thing, there's a lot of money going into this mental health, and if you look at our ARPA report, we put a slug of money in mental health with our ARPA dollars. But if you look out on the market right now, our health department's in the mental health business. Michigan State University Extension's in the mental health business. Don't we have community mental health already? We had a joke in Cadillac last week that we're going to have a committee to watch over the committees that are in charge of the mental health money. It's become dollar after dollar after dollar of competition.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that just a little bit in Commissioner's comments. It got pretty absurd.
So, you
Last
know,
week.
we're denying good people. We're denying people that would want to go there and fish for bluegills, or they might want to cook a steak, or they might want to play ball. We're denying those people, but yet on the other hand, we're just piling money into mental health when we've already got mental health in place. And we're putting safe shooter kits out on the street for people in our health department. And, you know, when are we going to do something for the taxpayers of Crystal Township that are running 12,000 acres and hauling over 200 million pounds of product to market? When are we going to do something for those guys? We always hear about Silver Lake. Well, we need another car. You know, we got to make concessions so they can drive dune-ready shit on the dunes. You know, where are we going to end with all this stuff? Why don't we take care of the boys of Crystal?
Well, I think we can move forward, you know.
I'm good. I feel better.
Paul, you and I'll have a discussion, and we'll have something back for the next agenda. But thank you for your presentation, Paul. I'm looking at where we're at. We did payment of claims. We did the 3 additions. Reports from commissioners. Mr. Beggs?
Probably gonna keep my mouth shut right now. Thank you.
I respect that, Mr. Beggs. Thank you. Mr. Hardy?
Just a quick update from 911. I don't know if I brought this up before, and if I didn't, I apologize, but they added a garage unit up at 911 to allow a couple of the people up there that actually do the technical installs on the radios and stuff. That's about 90% complete. A couple of the people up there are adding a few other things so that they don't have to go out and lay in the driveway and roll around in the gravel to fix some of the radio problems or install equipment that the cars need. So
I was wondering when I saw that the 911 vehicle isn't taken home anymore. Is it going to be stored in the garage?
I think it would be probably, unless they have
Yeah.
planned use for it. There are 2 stalls in
Yeah.
there, and but the 2 gentlemen that are working on it up there, employees, have been
Yeah.
doing a great job after hours to help get that going. It makes
Chris
it a lot
Ernst
nicer.
and Todd Myers?
Yeah,
I bet.
exactly.
They do all the time. They do what has to be done.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Morris?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked enough, but I'll add one, maybe 2 things. The workforce diversification survey is out. So I don't know if you saw that email, hopefully you did. you know, people, I mean, maybe Tim and I's age, but retired, it's not, the information isn't as valuable if a retired person fills it out, just because they're not in the workforce anymore. So we're looking for workforce aged people to fill this survey out. I'm really hoping young kids, like under 20, fill it out, but as of, I have the results right now, we have 112 surveys filled out. One is under 20 years old, and it's my daughter, because I made her fill it out. So, she didn't want to, but I made her. So I'm really hoping that, you know, that's really our target demographic, is the, you know, kids going into the workforce, and people, younger people, probably 45 and younger, that are in the workforce. So if you could, you know, do whatever you can to pull the strings you can to, you know, encourage your circles, your networks to fill it out, especially young people, that would be wonderful. My other thing is, the website looks great. It really looks great. I appreciate the efforts that your participation in that, Stacy, and I love it. I mean, I wish there was a picture of me in the front, but besides that, no, I'm kidding.
There's a spot for pictures, so that will be forthcoming, and
well, Paul takes plenty of awesome pictures and puts them on. Those would be great pictures to put right there on the website.
Yeah, and there are still some. We're still trying to combine some updates to the old website during transition.
Yeah.
So if you notice anything that still needs updating, of course, let us know, and we'll move forward with that.
That's all I have.
Very
Thank
pleased
you.
so far.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Walker. I'd like to recognize Mr. McKean, Gary, in the audience. We had our Parks meeting last week, and Gary was re-elected the chairman of our Parks Board again for another term.
I voted no.
Well, he didn't get away with it. But we did see a change, and Joel Michelson had been on the Parks Board for 40 years, you know, ever since the rail trail deal started. And Joel stepped down, and Jeff Hiddema, he's now our vice chair, and John Wines from Shelby again will serve as our treasurer, and the wonderful Peter Lundberg is going to serve as our secretary again. And when I bring Pete up, I also have to bring up Dale Lathers, and unfortunately we lost Dale Lathers a couple weeks ago. Dale had been a real spark plug in our Parks Department, and responsible for Lathers Lookout at Cedar Point, and the Lathers family's impact in Mears and in Oceana County will always be recognized in many different places. They're a big player in the 501c3 world, but this year Mears will be celebrating its 150th birthday. So we will be celebrating Dale at our Pleasant Afternoon this summer, and we're looking forward to that. The other thing I've got at the medical care facility, we met at the end of the month again last February. Our ending bed census now is running around 7980. We've grown from that 60. Numbers are looking better. We only showed a net loss last month of $211,000. So, you know, we've continued to hemorrhage at 200 grand a month now for all through the pandemic, sometimes even greater. But we are seeing our census grow, our costs have been contained. We're having some positive things happen. I also must add, we did have 7 COVID cases in our medical care last week. All were vaccinated and boosted, but all 6 people did not show any real signs that were detrimental. There was one person, I guess, had sniffles and a stuffed head, but at this point in time, the alarms are not ringing in the medical care when someone tests positive for COVID. And the other thing, Chairman, I really, really feel that we owe our constituency a visit from life and a report.
I have that on my agenda.
You know, and the reason I bring this up is, you know, I had mentioned it earlier in this meeting. You know, we've got private industry performing services for us, but I don't think it's our role You know, you could say that we are, we're purchasing those services from Life, but in a bigger, rounder number, you know, given the circumstances in surrounding counties, we are also subsidizing private industry.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Melanie?
We have an election in May. They've sent out permanent AV applications for people that want to vote AV.
So you have election?
We do. We have 4 proposals on the ballot for May 2nd.
For?
We have a Mason County School issue for Weir. We have a Shelby Public School issue that can't list all of the jurisdictions, but
Will it be a county-wide election?
it is not.
It is not a county-wide.
Not a countywide.
Because we have a couple things that we have pushed back because we were not having a county-wide election. So.
When's the next countywide? Is it November? It would be November, is it?
We don't have anything submitted or considered at this point for another election this year. We just know we have May.
So, very good, thank you, and welcome.
Good thing.
Stacy, anything for us?
We're doing well. We're happy to have Brittany in our office. Happy to have Tricia back from vacation, and we're moving forward. So things are going well.
One last thing, Robert, I'd like to recognize Kyle. If anybody didn't know who that was, that's Kyle Holman, and Kyle pulls carrots, and Kyle pulls a lot of carrots, and pumps a lot of water.
Still hauling carrots.
Still hauling carrots.
Yep, we got about 400 ton to go, and then we'll be empty for the winter.
We're feeding babies all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle is Tom's son. Kyle's a half of Herreggers out of Elbridge.
So, very good, welcome Kyle.
Thank you.
For myself, Life EMS will be here at our next meeting. They were scheduled for this meeting, but we had a full agenda, and we didn't know how long the thing should go, so I moved it to the next meeting. They will be at the next meeting. They were ready, like I say, for this one, but I moved that off. Paul touched on something from the health department, from the Region 10 Health Department. We were told at the meeting last week that the Region 10 Health got a grant from the state to look at mental health intervention in our school districts. And the meeting, several of the members in the 10 counties brought up, well, we had a meeting with the people from Michigan State, and Michigan State University got a grant from the state to look at mental health in our schools. So this went back and forth, and one of the board members, now realize that's a 20-member board, and one of the board members says, what in the world is mental health doing if the health department is doing it and the Michigan State's doing it? And then they really asked some pointed questions of the person who's heading this program from the health department, and she's from Manistee, and the director, and they said, well, we're just overlooking to see how many duplications of services that there are. And there were more pencils and pens that flew in the air when that statement was made. That, what foolishness. You know, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars they got from the state to do this. So I walked away from that meeting not knowing who's doing what anymore, because I don't think they know who's doing what. But there was free money that was out there, so yeah, more to follow on that. This morning when I got here, I went down and met with Brian about our chillers, you know, the air conditioning units, and we have to have new power and new circuits put into the courthouse before we can do this. And I asked Brian if he talked Hart Hydro, and he said they've been there and they will run the lines. But for anybody who understands three-phase electric, one of the 110 phases is a wild leg instead of being a dedicated leg, so you may think that it's got 110 or 115 in it, but it can go from 15 volts up to 200 volts. and we can't hook anything into that until it all gets straightened out. So the chillers are still on, we hope, for the summer. We're not sure, but we can't get a firm price from the companies. But the people that found the problem was Wirtz Electric, and they are getting a bid in to redo it. And Brian has talked to 4 other electric groups, Blackmer, Martech, and I forget the other 2. None of them are interested in handling this. And Wirtz does big industrial stuff, big company, you know, very reputable company. They are looking at it. So before we do anything with those air conditioners, we have to get our electric upgrades. There's no cost from Hart Hydro, but it's a cost inside. And it's going to require a shutdown. They're going to try to do it on a weekend, but there's any number of things that we can think about that goes with the shutdown. So Brian has spent a lot of time moving forward, and it's going to happen, but you know, it's going to be there. Basically, that's all that I had, unless anybody wants another comment. Public comments.
May I?
Welcome, Lee Wilk.
Thank you.
Thank you for sitting through this boring morning.
It was awesome. You guys do so much, it just blows my mind. I look on the computer and look at all your stuff. A little disturbed, there's a couple of you that feel like we don't have any skin in the game, but we gave the dam to the road commission gave it to you. You've dropped the ball on the maintenance. I think you've agreed to that. We have a proposal here, a very inexpensive proposal, and I hear, well, where are we going to get the money? We pay taxes. That proposal is what, less than $25,000. I was there and talked to Mr. Tiffany. He thinks he can pull this project off for $100,000. I think that the 214 million pounds that we dump into the businesses down the road are worth something to this community. We can't bring in housing if we have 12,000 acres of land or 4,000 acres of land that we farm on. Those numbers, they won't work. So if we work together, we can make this happen. I'm still looking for what I asked you guys to do a year ago, and that's more data so that you can make an informed decision. Recently I asked Gary for the letter from Fisheries that they wanted the dam out. He was kind enough, and I thank you immensely. There isn't a letter that he has. So if you have one, let's see it. We need more data. I think that we're putting a lot into the dam. I've personally been out there with my wife and taken the tires out of the river. I'll be meeting with the Blackmer people Monday with the representative from Parks Commission to work on the lighting. I think we need that. I've talked to the top farmers in the neighborhood. They want the dam there. I don't know how much more we can do to show you that that's what the community wants and we're willing to do something about it. And I disagree with your number of you put hundreds of thousands into the dam. I can't find that record. The community put a little money into it, you put a little money into it, and they paid some special fees for it, but not hundreds of thousands. Now, we have paid engineering fees every 5 years or so, but it's the same engineering fee that gives the same report every 5 years, and nothing's basically been done. So let's, next week or 2 weeks, make a decision, right?
That's why I want to keep moving on.
Thank you.
You might not be at the decision, but we're going to update where we're going and where it is towards the final decision.
Well, I think we've taken a lot of chips off the square cube and we've got it down to a ball where it can roll along, and we have good information, and we've brought the price down to where it's palatable, and I think we can get there. But everybody needs to be comfortable with that decision, and we need a good park on the east side. I realize we don't wear silk socks over on the east side of the county like they do where we have paved bicycle paths, where a lot of, what, $2.5 million we just put into a paved bicycle path? That's great. There's only 600 of us. Thank you. I'll rant forever. You guys are awesome.
So, Kyle?
Yeah, I would also
Welcome.
comment. It's not just the farmers in Crystal Valley that want to keep the dam, it's everybody. Everybody I've talked to in the last couple months, they want to see it stay. And then back to the maintenance, you know, we've donated a lot of time on the county park, and you know, we donated equipment to put in the gazebo that was put up there for family reunions that we've used a lot. I've personally mowed the baseball field because it was out of control a few times. So that park's important to Crystal Township, and not just the people in the township, there's a lot of other people that come there to use it. And there's a lot of people that use it, probably more than Marshall Dam area. I mean, there's a lot of people that come to Crystal Park and hang out, so just want to throw that out there.
Thank you for being here. Gary? Any other public any other public comments? I stand.
I had a chance to talk. I'm all set.
We stand adjourned, and I thank everybody for being here.
Yep. Hey, Gary. I'm gonna try to.
Yes, sir.